Alright.
Alright, well, here we go, episode 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Nah, not children of all ages. We don't know this.
The Beyond Raw podcast.
Beyond Raw podcast.
You heard? The truth, the wise, the bold.
There you go. We go into the nooks and crannies of things. So, right here, my name is Peter. This is Tony.
The one and only.
So, the one and only, the legends. We're going to really get into this topic. We were actually having a conversation in the gym, and I figured we'd make a topic out of it here in the channel. And this was on the topic of religion. We were talking about a bunch of things, man. And one of the questions that Tony came up with, I was thinking like, what we actually are. Yeah. And when you look at this, the first thing I said, the problem is you think you came out of a coochie, right? So.
Well, no. You said you think you're human.
Well, you think you came out the coochie, and I said that, if you think you came out the coochie, that's nice. You just probably end up coming out more coochies later on, right?
Yeah.
So, here's the thing, though. When we look at this, right, we were talking about Christianity, religion, and whatnot, right? We were talking about, Jesus not being a real human that walked on the planet, all right? And we can say that... that motorcycle path. But if, let's say, for example, we were trying to think logically, is this whole story of Jesus Christ backed up by scientific claims? And it's not. It's going to be all backed up by faith. But the thing with faith, if you really look at faith, it's still got to be backed up by some type of doubt, right? So when we say, hey man, I got faith in you, bro. I got faith. It's like there's still a possibility that you may let me down. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's still going to be backed up by some type of doubt when you have faith in something. You're just applying faith in it. It's almost like I look at it like you're giving it the benefit of the doubt. So I'll give you an example. If you have a criminal and we're trying to investigate things, we can say this person is suspected of a crime, right?
Yes.
But we have to gather evidence, right? Mm-hmm. The evidence that we have when it comes down to Christianity's claims that Jesus existed, the resurrection and all that kind of stuff, we're going based on the Gospels, right? And we're going based on like a
2,000-year-old book.
Yeah, or hearsay. He's hearsay and everything, right? So it's not backed up by a scientific method, and this is what a lot of us depend on to come down to truth, right? And the scientific method basically comes down to having an observation, performing an experiment, studying it, whatever, coming to a conclusion, hypothesis, all that fly stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And you come down to a conclusion whether it is, grounded in truth or not. So when we look at this, I said, well, okay, we can invert this and say, well, maybe Jesus did exist, right? Maybe he did exist. We got things like, Tartaria and, things that are occulted from history, how the pyramids were built, these megaliths and monoliths. There's things that were built on top of certain ancient structures just to hide and occult certain things that would have had us questioning reality. But suppose that Jesus did exist then. We can say maybe Jesus did exist and they occulted that history. Maybe they did have a body, they hid the body and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. Changed all the history around, right? And that in the interest of having us argue with our neighbor. But also to not have us question our reality. Because if Jesus was human and he performed all these miracles, then why the hell were we not able to do it? Well, here's the thing though, man. He was born of a Virgin Mary too. Is it possible that a woman can give birth to a baby without being penetrated? You know what I came to the conclusion on that I told him when we were talking in the gym? The only thing that can be birthed here into existence without being penetrated would be your own beautiful mind. The subconscious mind at that. And a lot of people, they don't have their masculinity online. So that conscious mind being offline, another human can impregnate that subconscious mind in the form of mind viruses. And this is what we call an infection, right? Mm. So an infection is not necessarily always a bad thing, because when we look at viruses, for example, viruses that fall from the sky, viruses are actually heavily responsible for the evolution of the human species. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
how is that?
well, we are a walking virus, right? Without getting too scientific or technical on that topic, so we don't go too deep into one avenue and discard the other. We can make like we have it recorded. We can actually go deep into that. But if you look it up, viruses, and I'll definitely dismantle it. I study virology intensively, but viruses are responsible for the evolution of the human species. Not in a sense where a fucking monkey came from.
No, I see what you're
like
saying.
A human came out of a monkey, like turned into a monkey, right? I mean, a monkey turned into a human.
Yeah. But I see it from what you're saying. You're saying like from a stem from like the virus just made you better because your body had to adapt and adjust to it.
Right. Well, because then we're gonna go into like DNA and all that. When we look at the color of our skin, and can a human go from being really dark to just suddenly being very light? You know what I'm saying? Like just evolve to become lighter. But let's not go too deep into that right now, because it's gonna just throw off the topic. But we were talking about impregnating the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the feminine part of you. Okay, that would be your beautiful human body, which is below the head. We can consider that the church. The head would be your masculinity, right? The Aries, the ram. But where the head goes, the body follows, right? Which means that the body is feminine, your head is masculine. But your head, right? You got a lot of logic that you decode reality from the brain. Like you're creating your reality. In fact, you're receiving light codes into your eyes. They hit the back of the retina, and they don't go any further than that. You're gonna be just basically sending electrical signals to the brain. Your brain makes the best guess of what's going on outside in reality, right? But you come to a conclusion based on the perspective that you have is based on the frequency and vibration you're on. So what happens when you become aware of something? You can change your frequency and vibratory state, right? It's almost like you're aware, you're listening to a song on the radio that's just not making you feel good or it's not moving your spirit. You could change the channel, right? And then you can change the frequency and upbeat of things. It changes your body. It's the same thing with the mind, right? So here's the thing with the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind gets impregnated. That's why people say I adopted that ideology or I conceived that idea. Because we're just all, looking at ideas outside of ourselves. You're an idea, I'm an idea, right? You have an idea of yourself. The idea is like, well, that's your identification. That's why people say, let me see your ID. The idea is your idea. Somebody has an idea of you just by the physical appearance of you. You're 5'5", 175 pounds.
This guy, bro.
Yeah, I'm always picking on this guy with the shortness and one
eighth of an inch taller than
Don't matter, but I'm still taller than you.
Eighth of an inch taller. You see how you have me locked in, and then you just like I'm over here like, nice. Trying to pull a fast one, bro.
You're a midget, bro.
I'm 5'9.5". Don't forget that.
You're into midgets too, bro. You like midget women, right?
I mean, yeah.
I don't like midget women. I like tall.
Midgets is fine. It depends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not talking about like the leprechaun in the hood or something like that. No, like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I've seen some shorties. Even looking out like these guys. These girls are short. They're like a midget. They like went below the short, like petite girl to like midget status.
Well, I look like a giant compared to them, So
that's why you like it. It makes you feel taller.
I mean, you're eighth of an inch and it makes you feel taller.
Well, my aura is so big that, I like the taller chicks because I still feel like, you know what I'm saying? They're still shorter than me.
Nah, I like taller chicks. I don't discriminate. Let's fix that real quick. I don't discriminate at all, okay? It's not just
midgets. We get off topic.
Yeah, I know. Why do you call me short? You see what I'm saying?
I'm speaking. So we be all raw.
I know, but that's the thing, though. Like, I get it. But see, I'm locked in. Back to the topic, bro. Back to the topic. Sorry. Midgets.
I guess that's where the balance is.
Midgets or giraffes, it don't matter.
Well, shit. But anyway, and when we look at the subcut, so we adopt ideologies, right? So the idea of a Jesus Christ figure became a real. It's impregnated into so many minds, it became a real thing because where attention flows, energy goes, right?
So you put all that energy into
it
that one.
mattered so much to people because it's like this: if I tell you something and I impregnated your subconscious mind, your conscious mind was offline because you had so much faith in what the fuck I was telling you, man. It's like I had you believe whatever the hell I wanted you to believe. You know what I'm saying? That's mind control, bro. I'm gonna have you believe whatever I want you to believe. You know what I mean? And
just so you can stay in line.
Right. Now, this is the example I was talking about in the gym.
Okay.
When I talk to people, sometimes I want them to ask me questions, man. Like, yeah, ask me questions, challenge me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, walking around some dudes, they want to agree with me, and it's like, dude, stop jerking me off, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need you jerking me off. You know what I'm saying? For that, I'll hang out with a chick. She can agree with everything I'm saying, bro. You know what I'm saying? And even that, I still don't like weak-minded chicks, bro. Like, sometimes I even like strong-minded chicks that think for themselves, which is why I'm going to be heavily focused on, how this red pill community wants to manage things and control your mind. And the thing is, I still see the young children, and how they're, taking this perspective into play. And I think that's an atrocity because there's a guy named Sneeko online, right? And I'm calling names out. I don't give a shit, but I'm going to tell you right now, I want all that smoke. Because this is going to get to the point where it's going to be where we're going to be challenging even those people eventually. But he was in an airport, and there were some kids that literally recognized him, right? And he's the type that has that red pill information. And these kids literally walked up to him and said, "Hey, Sneeko, I know you." And he's signing autographs, and they're like, "Fuck the women." And
what he said?
They said, he's like, no, that's not the message, man. But then he started laughing about it afterwards, right? So it's like, what do you mean, fuck the women, bro?
You obviously put that message out there.
Yeah, and he said, like fuck the gays. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and these are kids, bro. So, you start to see this, and it's like, that's why I made a video. Your perspective is controlled by dorks online. If you haven't watched that video, I definitely recommend you watch that video because that shit, I go in. That was a channeled ass video.
Yeah.
Real shit. Like, I actually go into about that. Now, that's an example right there. Like, you got your Andrew Tate, you got your, you got these people who promote, Christianity and Christian nationalism. They're very tied close hand in hand when it comes to red pill ideologies. And those are the things that I want to point out. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to ask you. I wasn't letting you finish, though. I was going to ask you, like, all these, you see how these topics and how people perceive certain shit. Now, does that come from just like insecurities growing up, like
yeah, absolutely. These you see, these are people
their personal experiences that they're just trying to.
A lot of it's projection, man. And we're gonna get into that. That's the whole point of this channel. We're gonna dismantle that psychology and the whole mentality of these people, man, because this is actually extremely important. A lot of the times these people grew up in a single household, and they'll look at things a certain way. And they're not looking at the big picture of things. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they may have grown up with a father or without a father, but it depends on the masculinity of the person that
is raising them,
that raised you. You know, and even if you don't have a father, it doesn't matter. The woman has masculine energy to her, and a lot of the times, the same way relationships balance each other out, these women, the same way, have become masculine to sustain themselves in a society where men have become weak. Right? Is the same way they'll get they put their drawers on and take care of the kids. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not where because men are stronger and they protect the family, it just comes to the point where if a woman has no husband, that if they were in danger with the kids, she wouldn't put her neck out to protect those kids. You get what I'm saying? Like, the same thing men can do, women can do, except it comes at a limit, though. You know what I'm saying? Men are stronger. Men are superior in certain areas.
It's just genetic.
But what's not spoken of, that the patriarchy holds, is that women have more power than men in certain areas, and we're going to be getting into that in this channel for sure. But besides all that, we'll get into that in another series.
Yeah, see, I was gonna ask you that too.
But we can get into it, a little bit.
Me, I'm just trying to, keep it on the same topic because you mentioning a lot of stuff where it's kind of like piquing my interest.
Well, this first episode here, we're talking about a few things, and I'll go into a flow And the good thing is that we can go back into this video and actually write notes to take different topics and dismantle them for sure. But I don't want it to be so disorganized.
Well,
where, if I'm dismantling one thing and then I'm dismantling another, but we could definitely get into one topic and make different episodes about it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, all right.
But, in a nutshell, why I even mentioned that, I mean, a lot of these red pill people will just come out and say that, how do you think society was built? It was built by men. Without men, women wouldn't have shit, right? But that's just based on what you're seeing now, which is retardation.
Without men, women wouldn't have nothing. That was the same.
Well, yeah, because men built the buildings. Men built they got the power tools. They built the power tools. They built the computers. They built everything. They basically built everything for us to use, but it was done by men. And women have rights because men gave it to them. And if they wanted to take it away, they can take it away because they're technically stronger than women, right? But here's the thing, though. You're only looking at what you have now. Because if you look back in history, we have ancient technology, but you think ancient technology would be competing with the technology that we have now in the form of computers. But this is obsolete. The real technology is actually your human body. So I want you to understand this, and this is where I'll get into it, but we'll talk about where women actually had certain powers that men don't have, because you can't have reality without there being a balance. It's like the garden, man. If you got an infestation, nature will always find the balance. You'll always have those predatory bugs coming in. The humanity and the weakness of man is that they'll come in with insecticides because they want to control the natural process of how things balance themselves out. So in society, women are that balance, but it's suppressed because men is the manifestation of the ego. But the ego is really the feminine energy. It's a manifestation of men in their feminine energy. That's what the ego actually is. The ego wants to control, but the ego has no power. It's really a little person. That's why sometimes when they'll tell you, man, just let it go. Like, let's say somebody cuts you off on the road or somebody wants to do something. Sometimes being the bigger person is walking away, but what is that doing? Putting the ego aside. You dig what I'm saying?
No, I got you.
So, but who took control through that awareness? That awareness was taken over by God, and then the masculine had God in masculinity overrode that feminine action, which is reactionary. That's the ego.
Emotional part of things.
Right. Well, if like emotions can get the best of you, but why? Because you let the emotion consume you rather than you control the emotions. Aren't women the emotional ones that can't control the emotions? The duty of a man is controlling his emotions, right? But he has to have the awareness of God, the armor of God, where nothing can penetrate you. So it don't matter, you know what I'm saying, what happens to you. You can walk away and you're still the victor. You're still going to be looked at bigger than everybody else because you think the ego thinks that they're going to look like a pussy if they walk away.
No, fact.
But if you do it spiritually, you will actually look like the more powerful person, and people can actually see that. They'll be like, nah, man, that motherfucker look like he's scared. Okay. Look at the dogs. A dog that barks and wants to attack, half of the time they're scared.
So looking at it, like looking spiritually, what's that looking like? Just ego death in general? Just putting the ego.
See, I don't like to say ego death. There is no death to the ego. Okay. It's just basically. It's like you either gonna let the dog walk you or you're gonna walk the dog.
That's a good one. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about killing the ego. I mean, I need my ego. How am I gonna debate and smash other motherfuckers online if I don't have my ego? I need the ego. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to have an ego, and it's like a sport. But there's different ways when you debate, right? It can look like a street fight or it can look like a sanctioned fight where you look like professional mixed martial arts.
Like UFC, in a way. Yep.
You know, and you respect your opponent, right? But a lot of these people that debate online now, it's very egotistical. It almost looks like a street fight. So they are not interested in coming down to truth, right? Like two individuals to see who's better grounded in reality. Their interest is to come out with the best techniques to dismantle that person, make them look, well, they're trying to kill that person, technically. This is modern day warfare.
So instead of just like having an open mind, like being an open book and kind of learning from that.
Right, but you see, that's the thing. So if you lose a debate, you can actually say, man, you know what? I actually won because I got put onto something that I didn't even know.
Because you learned something.
Look at an MMA. If you lose, look at Max Holloway when he lost to Conor McGregor at first, right? How good did he become after that? He went on a tear to the point that they get back to. It's like Thanos when he says all this and it comes right back to me. Right? You come right back to me. It all leads right back to me. Look at what happened. Max Holloway fought Conor McGregor, went on a tear to then meet him right again in the octagon. And Conor McGregor is the biggest draw to the point that that's going to be Max Holloway's most lucrative fight.
Especially if he wins, bro.
Especially if he wins.
Especially if he wins, bro. Because they showed you.
And it can even open the door for a trilogy because now they're 1-1.
Yep. And it showed you that he actually took a W instead of an L because, you know what I'm saying, he fought Conor, lost, got better from it, and came back and became an even stronger individual.
So when you have debates, you got moderators, right? That would be like a referee, right? But in a street fight, there's no moderators, there's no referees. You're trying to kill that person, if anything, bro, and you end up going to jail. So, like, these debates, the way that they try to kill you is by humiliation, trying to kill your credibility, trying to kill your character. It's a character assassination, but you're not really that character. It's like if I go and debate a vegan and I destroyed that vegan in a debate, I literally killed him because he associates himself as a vegan. He says, I am a vegan. So the I am is very powerful. But you're not even the human body. You got a title that you decided to fall in love with called veganism. So you went and defended the position. It's a sport at the end of the day, but does it really matter? And I debated a lot of vegans to the point where I came from angles they've never even heard of in their life. You know what I'm saying? I'll come down to it from a spiritual level, even a religious level. Why? Because veganism in actuality is actually a religion. So I'm going to debate it in a way as if it was a freaking religion. You know what I'm saying? And they come out and they're confused. So now I'm mentally destroying them. You know what I'm saying? Like I got them in a... Huh?
I love a cheeseburger. So,
well, yeah, I mean, shit, I love a cheeseburger too, but not right now. We're fasting.
Yeah, fasting.
Stop. You see, that's the thing. You be saying that, and now you're putting that in my mind. You know what I'm saying?
You know, when
my masculinity's online, I cast that shit down, bro.
Listen, when I'm eating my grapes,
man, I will shut that shit down. You know what I'm saying?
When I eat my grapes, they're great burgers. But go ahead. All right, sorry, my bad.
It's like a mental transmutation, right? Yeah, because food is porn too. You know, that's why I call it food porn. You know what I'm saying? And then, I guess you can transmute the. That's what vegans do, though. If you really think about it, man, they can't get the thought of meat out of their mind. Right? It's like they're an undercover. You know what I'm saying? They'll make vegan burgers.
They really want to eat a cheeseburger, but
they'll make a
stands against everything I ever.
They'll make a vegan sausage. They'll make a vegan. But I'm like, why you gotta make
vegan lasagna?
Right?
Every food that they do make that's vegan pertains to have meat in it.
It's almost like if you're like homosexual and you're suppressing it, you know what I'm saying, by trying to eat fish instead, bro.
You really want a hot dog?
But they really want a hot dog. They want that sausage, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and they'll come out with a vegan sausage.
Just suppress it.
Yeah, bro. It's like weird, bro. You know. But you gotta come from different angles. But that's why I use a lot of analogies, bro. Because the analogies are actually, because life is just, if you really look at it, man, life is just symbols, and
like you said,
it's all symbols. That's what life is. Life is symbols, and your job is to decode reality because life is encoded. Your genes are fucking, your DNA is encoded, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like. And then you got junk DNA. Your job to unlock DNA, right? Again, we go down to evolution, is actually communing with certain viruses, which I didn't say. I said I didn't want to get to it, but that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the evolutionary process.
But this is what I'm saying. This all kind of goes together.
But listen, man, I'm not a medical doctor. Do your research. We got to do the disclaimer because, we're just making content for you guys, right? We're not medical doctors. Do your own research. No. But the ones who can hear and know how to absorb light will absorb light and will actually upgrade genetically if you know how to receive light. If you know how to receive a lightning rod, you know what I'm saying? And you get turned on properly, channel that energy accordingly, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But check this out. When you got the light codes, right? You're outside, right? You're interacting with other light beings, right? Because we're all light beings. It doesn't matter. We're all light beings. The people you come and commune with, it doesn't matter if you mesh with them and you like them. That means that they're in tune with you, right? But then there's some that are going to trigger you. You see, some people run away from those people, but actually, those are the ones you may want to look closely at. This is why even though I want to interact with people who are going to challenge me sometimes, and I want to interact with people that trigger me at times. Not to say that it's a torturous thing where I'm sadomasochist, that I like to be, in an uncomfortable position at times. But sometimes I ask myself, why does this person trigger me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times it could be just an indirect mirror. It's not a direct mirror, but an indirect mirror. And this is how I've gotten to the point that I'm at now. Because there's times you ask me, well, Pete, how did you get to this point?
No, for sure.
It's been a lot of shadow work. And the shadow work sometimes is not just going in the dark and, messing with energies that you don't truly understand. Sometimes it's just messing with entities outside of yourself in broad daylight. You know what I'm saying? That's a form of shadow work. Just pausing a second, putting the ego aside, right? Because the ego likes the comfort. Mm-hmm. The uncomfort would be to basically observe it and see the mirror of yourself and face it head on.
What am I learning from this person?
What can you pick up and learn from that person?
Or why did this person make me mad? Is this something that I'm suppressing myself?
Right, and sometimes you can even transmute. You could partake in it, right? Mm-hmm. You could partake in it and argue with that person, or you could even transmute the situation, and you'll actually come to terms to realize that you are just coming in contact with some angry version of yourself. Because there's been times where a person may have been upset, like let's say a cashier or some shit like that, mm-hmm. and then I'll just make a joke and it lightens up the mood. I just transmuted that energy. But supposing if that person decided to be angry and I entertained that anger, I let that person lead me. It's almost like also a feminine act, right?
Okay, that kind of.
So a masculine person would actually redirect it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think that masculinity, because toxic masculinity is you telling other men that women, women are a certain way that they're not. You get what I'm saying? You don't understand women. And you will never understand women if you don't understand the feminine aspect of yourself. That's the problem.
See, but a lot of people don't want to explore that feminine aspect of themselves because according to society...
that's mainly religion, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see. But that's what keeps a lot of people in the dark, bro.
Here's what I was going to get to in the beginning when I was talking about how women have more power than men in certain areas. Mm-hmm. You see, back in the day, women, the witches were burned at the stake. But what is a witch? A witch knows how to manipulate reality. You see what I'm saying? So they can control reality metaphysically without lifting a fucking finger. You know what I'm saying? Men have the ability to move it physically because they're stronger. You know what I'm saying? And now there's a patriarchal order that came into play that wants control of humanity. See, if humanity knew how to commune white and black, like I'm talking about white magic, black magic, positive and negative, electric, magnetic, acid, alkaline. They knew how to really they'd be a chemist. What does a chemist do? A chemist knows how to create chemistry and manipulate chemistry mm-hmm. to have things work for the individual. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of this chemistry is mental. See, there's a lot of things outside of you, like extrasensory perceptions and abilities that are dormant, that have been locked, and that's due to environmental toxins. Like, what's the purpose of, like, chemtrails, for example? And we're not conspiracy theorists, but sometimes you gotta ask, like, simple questions. The other day, I saw 2 airplanes. They were literally flying, like, almost side by side.
Parallel.
One was shooting out a bunch of cloud, and the other one wasn't. So if it's a contrail, which is a condensation trail, how is it that one had a small little trail and it disappeared while the other one had a long ass trail, creating a huge chem cloud? You get what I'm saying? Now I start to think about things like Batman, for example, like the Scarecrow, and how he the fear toxin and whatnot, right? So humanity's in fear, and that shuts your immune system down. So it's easy to control humanity, right?
I like that.
Now, if you got viruses that fall viruses are everywhere, but they fall from the sky, right? And they technically come from the stars too, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of info on that, right?
Okay.
Now, this is why viruses, when they infect you, right? What do? You get the flu. And the flu is short for influenza. And that's called influence of the stars. But these viruses, if you're able to beat a virus from the body, like the body's immune system is able to fight off a virus, then you technically evolved. You know that, right? You evolved.
Because you overcame it.
Right. But what do they like to push a lot of? Vaccines.
Yeah, the vaccine, flu shots, all that.
So these vaccines are the problem because they act like an influence on a genetic, to your DNA. They act like an influence. It's like a mimic of what you would get infected with naturally, but you're getting something that's laboratory made. You go to the stores, you buy lab foods instead of growing your own foods. Mm-hmm. You eat GMO animals instead of just, one cow can feed a whole family. For how long, bro? You know what I'm saying? How much meat can you get out of a cow?
They say like a year.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, that's a lot.
And now, if you wanted to do barter and trade, which was the original the way that we did business back in the day, if you grew a shitload of watermelons during the season, I mean, you could do some trading.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Watermelon for dang meat, more meat for eggs.
What is a true community? We're supposed to be, we're supposed to be in community here. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? But if you look at nature, the woods, the forest, those trees are in a community. There's something underneath called a mycelium network that basically it's an information network underground that feeds and it's like they're all communicating with each other within miles of each other. You can have a sick tree and a strong tree may send nutrients to that tree. And now above ground, with the help of nature, like the wind, the sun, whatever it may be,
rain,
you also got the frequency of the leaves and how they communicate up above. There's a symbiotic relationship between those trees and humans where they give off oxygen and you take in the breath of life because of nature that doesn't need man, but man needs nature, and it takes in your toxins in the form of CO2. You see what I'm saying? So if you really look at it and they see the creator doesn't need man, but man needs the creator for purposes and all that, for purpose and meaning in life, then let's use that parallel to what I just mentioned. Nature, we can say, that's why they say God is in nature. God is nature. God is in all things. But man came from the soil. He dies, he goes back to the soil, doesn't he? So we came out of nature, if we're going to look at it scientifically. Or the religions tells you that man comes to the soil, he dies, he goes back to the soil. Now the breath of life was breathed in by God through our nostrils, right? So if I'm here on the planet, right? And this is why I mentioned before, you think it came out of a coochie, didn't you? You are the manifestation of Christ here incarnate. But you're not the body, though.
See, that
you're the observer, and the observer that's aware, that you can cultivate this level of self-awareness, was never born and it never dies. When you go into a dreamlike state, you were never born and you never died there. How did you start meeting all these people? Where the hell did they come from? You're just going about the motions there, right? So you can remember when you were a kid and all this, but you're infinite. You've always existed. That's what you are doing here now. You're experiencing existence, the infinite now, through the body of Christ, enduring the burdens and the sins of the world, because you think you're this body. Why do you think they got the story of Atlas holding the world, the weight of the world on its shoulders? What joint do you have that's right there at the base of the fucking of the neck? You got the atlanto-occipital joint. That's Atlas. So you see how they make a story out of everything that we have in our human body? Like the heart is the earth.
They say if you actually move the letters around, it actually spells earth.
That's right. That's the anagram for heart. It's earth. Now, the third rock from the sun. Why did I say that? Because technically, is it the third rock from the sun? But if you look at it, 1, 2, 3, right? Here's the earth, right? Mm-hmm. The heart. But what's underneath the heart is the sun. It's like if you look at your roots, the roots are really, the mycelium network is up in your head area, right? Mm. Because when you see the world, your world is upside down. The brain makes it right side up. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So say that again.
So look at it how it's manifested, bro. The sun that you have in you, which is called your solar plexus.
Yeah.
You got your sacral plexus chakra and the root chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how those are the hot colors. Notice how when we look in nature, those orangey red colors are up above. You got the cooler green colors down at the bottom, like the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But you got the sky is blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's your body. Like you're looking at your body. You're looking at a manifestation of your body in physical form. So it's almost like if you have, you look like your parents a little bit, right? You may have certain resemblance. I can see a lot of your mom in you. I can see a lot of your dad in you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the earth, I can see a lot of the earth. I can see a lot of the people in the earth.
No, like
you
as far as like fingerprints, like with certain.
Look at nature, right?
Yeah, like
look
nature.
Look at the way the insect. Look at how
Like
certain
your
plants.
brain stems
man,
can be like roots. Like
we got into succulents. Yeah, like look at the trees, bro.
Yeah.
How it looks like the branches look like a nervous system, right?
Mm-hmm.
As above, so below. It looks like that when it's like, let's say in the winter time, you could see.
It's actually pretty bad.
Right, but don't we have that above? Don't we have that like a neurological network in our stomach? And then we have that branching out to like our legs on the ground. There is a chemistry happening where we give off positive ions, we receive the negative ions. Those are the anti-inflammatory ions. You know what I'm saying? There's a chemistry happening, especially when we come in commune with the sun, which is a manifestation of you. When you look at the sun, you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your face.
God damn.
The sun lights up the entire planet. But then we got conspiracy theorists about, is the earth flat or round? How is it lighting up the entire world, right? How is it, like everybody can see the same sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at it carefully. Is the earth flat or round? The earth is just, in my opinion, the earth is just a wave. I mean, until you observe it, it can be whatever you want it to be. Whatever your mathematical calculations are, you're going to see it as such.
But
it's like when we look at quantum science, we look at the observer theory. You think these particles don't want to be observed. You know what I'm saying? They're so elusive. Like you see everything in waveform when you observe, right? The particle, you're going to have a different calculation than I'm going to have. It's showing you a mirror of you.
What do you mean?
So when you look at something, you're going to see something your way, and I may see it a totally different way. It's almost like this. I'll give you an example to make it easy so I don't lose anybody. We could be in the same environment and have two totally different experiences.
Okay,
why? Because your mental state and perception about things is going to be totally different than mine. But supposing we're both in the same vibe, we can both create magic, right? Because we have good chemistry. That's why sex magic is good, right? Not between you, right? I'm straight, right? Yeah. But I'm saying, like, even, like, there's two, a man and a woman. And if I was gay, I think I could do a little better than you.
Yeah, whatever. Me too.
But you see how you have a man and a woman, they could create, right, a lot better, right? When you got a conducive relationship, and even, especially with sex magic, they could create even more powerfully, right? Because it's almost like a heaven on earth where time ceases to exist, especially through the moments of an orgasm, right? If you think about it, what's stronger than any feeling of having an orgasm, right? That's like the strongest, most addictive feeling you can have. It's almost like you feel it in your entire body, like time kind of stops for a second, right? But suppose you know how to channel that energy, right? Especially if two people knew what they were doing, that's where you see the two serpents intertwining with each other. Like the two actually become one. And with two become one, you have the real God being. You go back to the whole Adam and Eve. Before they split, you actually have God. God is... Adam was... When we look at Adam, Adam is the manifestation of God. Before it split. The splitting of that Adam. Wow. I'm going to tell you what happens here. Look at how interesting this is, man.
Please break it down for me.
So... You know they say that man came from the woman? Is like, no, if we were to look at reality, how is that even possible, bro? When a woman is the one that gives birth, right? But here's what happens. I got two ways to look at this. Because sometimes, this is what I talk about when I talk about thinking. Like, people think they're thinking, but Mental activity does not constitute thinking. This is what real thinking is. Let me break it down for you. When you hear this, right? Mm-hmm. You're hearing a story like this. It's a version of you giving you this story, almost like your ego trying to give you some information and you buy into it. But when God is online, you decode it, right? You can say, nah, I don't think this makes sense. Because when I was a child, I remember I was like questioning my teachers about how these pyramids were built. And it came down, to make a long story short, they came down to the conclusion to say, hey man, you know, this is the answers to the test. If you want to pass the test, just answer these questions. That's literally what she told me. I'll never forget that.
Really?
So I said, all right, so I'm going to I guess I got to lie just to pass the test. Because I didn't want to get in trouble when I got home. But here's the two ways I look at this. You got your mind and subconscious mind, right? The subconscious mind, if it always existed, you wouldn't have any awareness until the conscious mind was aware there was a subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind receiving now outside of itself from what the conscious mind receives out of, it's almost like now you're quantifying and collapsing atom into existence. So in other words, you can't have reality without the mind and subconscious mind. It's impossible. One can't exist without the other. So it's not to say that Adam existed and there was no Eve. No, Eve always existed in Adam. You get what I'm trying to say? So it was always there as Eve, but the whole thing is that the subconscious mind can't be aware of itself. Only the conscious mind can. Is where your awareness comes from. Well, you're conscious of something. Mm-hmm. So in order for this to happen, remember I told you that we're all like feminine energy collectively? So we observe and we collapse each other into existence. So when I talked about God breathing the breath of life into Adam, I'm breathing the breath of life into you, and you and kind of breathing the breath of life into me. This is how it is if we're all in the same vicinity, right? Based on my worldview. But somebody who has the resources to travel the entire planet, right, can gain a lot more than somebody who has limited resources and can't travel outside the United States, or because they don't have any money, or they got too many responsibilities, too much baggage. You see why there's pros and cons to having like a family, but sometimes with all that baggage, it keeps you limited to really exploring yourself. You get what I'm saying? And it's funny because when we go to school, we're supposed to learn the elements. So that's where you go to elementary school. And then when you go to university, you learn universal knowledge. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to know yourself properly and you travel the planet with no boundaries, then you can have a family, right? Where you get to know yourself truly.
And they don't teach you to know yourself.
No, they want you to.
They want you to
have a family at the age of 17.
So many kids and everything like that, so you don't come across this knowledge of actually finding out who you are and yourself.
And then you have to work for all these kids. You get what I'm saying? And these people who talk online, they already have a very good foundation as far as resources go, right? So they're talking like from a higher level of wealth, right? And they think that everybody's supposed. It's almost like, let's say if you, for example, were a person who weighed 155 pounds soaking wet, right? And you're trying to look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson told you, if you want to get like me, you have to eat the way I eat, all this food. It's like, that's not conducive because you can't pack it. It's almost like me trying to give a chihuahua the same amount of food I give a pit bull. You get what I'm saying? So...
What even telling it is a pit bull.
Right. And it believes it's a pit bull and it's not a pit bull. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And some of them do. That's why they bark so much. Bro. They try to, like, they got that Napoleon complex.
No, they got that Pete complex.
That's the Tony complex. You see, you beat me on that one. You know I was going to come out with that.
Got you.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this is going to come down to, you know, when the Red Pill community tells you, oh, get your finances right before you get a girl, because, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the winners. The winners are the ones that... And there's truth to that, but the way I just said it, not the way they're telling you to do it, right? Because you're still playing in the matrix, right? You see, in actuality, you're supposed to do something you really love doing, and the money just follows. You're not really working for money, where money's not even a thing. You're not thinking of the money when you're doing it. It just happens to be where you become very lucrative because you're doing something of value. What is money? Is love, bro. So if money is love,
explain that.
Well, money is love. Money is neutral, actually, right?
Okay.
But the perspective you have of money
can make you or break.
Can make it's just like women. A woman can make you or break you, right?
I got you.
That's why people with power sometimes, if you got money, it could like you really see the real person. If you are a fucking dumb, a real bad individual, then you'll really see the person's true colors with the money, right? And money can change people. That's why I say money changes people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, money is neutral, but suppose that I think of money as just energy, right? Energy is love. Love, if you really want to define love, love is the glue that holds all this together. It's the oil in the machine, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
See,
like,
but
we are the oil. We are the money in this society. But we go work for this money when in actuality, but that's done with a proper mental state. You see what I'm saying?
But see, break this down though, because from somebody for me, like, I used to be into religion and everything like that, and that's how I used to move, right? And now knowing that you say money is energy, everything is energy, like, what does that absolutely mean to somebody that doesn't even know what the hell that means?
You ever notice how they'll tell you, like, money is called currency? So money, if it's currency is water, it flows, right? So you have channels. You notice how if I got multiple streams of income, I'm opening up multiple channels for that energy to flow to me, right? But I have to, with a proper mindset and structure, set those channels to open up for that money to come to me, right?
So
but it requires
just lock in onto that and not.
You notice how people say some people got money blockages? The money blockages is basically like the mentality you have about the money to begin with. You notice how people say, like, in order for other people to see you a certain way, you have to see yourself like that first? You're the money. But how do you see yourself first? You have to see money a certain way too. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see money a certain way, and then you apply your gifts on the planet due to, again, extensive shadow work, then what you're doing it with love. Because like some people hate their job. So they're only capped out at doing a certain amount of money. Or some people do make a lot of money, but they're doing it through hustle and bustle, but those people have no life. You know what I'm saying? They can't really spend time with their family because their life is all about work.
No balance.
Right, no balance. But the balance here is what? Feminine energy. Feminine energy is a receiving energy. Masculinity is all assertiveness, hustle, bustle, always working. So when you set the structure is masculine, but then applying the feminine is that receiving energy. Well, remember I always tell you, man, everything always works. Everything I touch turns to gold, and it does. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Everything always works perfectly. So things start flowing to me effectively. But the moment I put a negative thought to it, I created my own blockage.
So, but that's instant. Like the moment you come up with
it can be
a
subtle thought, because life is not a one way.
How many times have, like, because I even know I've even done this, like, to a point where it's like you didn't even know you were doing something until, like, you bring it to your awareness, right?
What do you mean?
Like, for instance, like you say money is energy, or you might have a doubt, like, oh man,
what would be the purpose of a doubt, right? You don't know yourself, right? So in other words, when I say, like, you apply something, you're doing it, it's almost like you want something, like, let's use religious terms, faith.
Okay.
You have faith in yourself, right?
Yep.
And then faith without works is that. So you apply your work to it, and you trust the process. The process is God. If you doubt anything of the outcome, then you're doubting the process. The process is the faith you've already applied. You're putting the work into it. There's a process. You doubt that process. Remember I was talking to you about, you place an order, bro. If you place an order in a restaurant,
you don't worry.
I apply by the law of assumption at all costs. I assume it's going to get done. It's kind of like if I give you a direction at the job, right? I tell you, hey man, go do this, do that. I'm assuming it's going to get done, which in my mind, it's already done. Because I walked out the door, I don't really think about it no more. That means that in my mind it's done. When I come back to work the next day, it's already done. You get what I'm saying?
No, I do.
But
I do too.
again, what is the employee is a reflection of the manager.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the employees operate is all a reflection of the manager. So if I got a bigger boss above me, right, and he looks at me and my staff, he's not really looking at my staff. He's looking at me, and he sees the flaw in the staff. It's only going to be a mirror of me because the staff is only as good as the manager. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
That's why leadership is important.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the masculine energy, and the nurturing energy that comes with it. When you're doing things with love and respect for others, it's also that's a feminine act.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a nurturing act, but you nurture that respect, and then love grows from that because you have trust. You see what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So you develop something called a culture of honesty, and a culture of honesty is very important anywhere you go. Look at a cat, for example. A cat is skittish at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then you try to show it compassion, or let's say the trust through food, right? Because that's where their survival is at, in food.
Yeah.
So you're trying to feed it, and then the cat eventually sees you're no threat. What is it gaining for you? Trust.
Trust.
And then from trust is the ingredient that comes after is love.
Love. Facts.
Why is everything in society existing? Because we believe in it. We believe in it. We trust that it exists. You trust things exist. That's why things don't collapse. They don't fall apart. You dig what I'm saying? You believe in humanity. But the Bible tells you you're in the world, but not of it.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you could believe in humanity and you can interact in humanity. You can apply all the laws you want, the law of attraction, the law of assumption, the law of compensation, whatever. But no, you're not of it. You're just participating in life. But what you're applying your attention to, like you got certain movements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got this movement, that movement. Like you got the red pill community. You got veganism. Those are all movements that are heavily influenced in humanity.
Even politics, right?
Politics, all that bullshit is all human garbage
Mm-hmm.
that we're actually not supposed to be participating in. The less you participate in it, it doesn't exist. But people polarize. This is why they say the meek shall inherit the earth. The people who are the most powerful here are not powerful. The ones who are powerful are the ones behind closed doors that you don't even see. You know what I'm saying? It's like a sports team. They're very popular. You got all the attention. People are giving them all this energy. Like the soccer teams and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just puppets on a string. And we are also the puppets on the string, putting the energy into that circular stadium where they harness all that energy. And you know who gets all that power? The promoters of the organization. You know what I'm saying?
Like owners and everything like that.
Owners. You know what I'm saying? The promoters. All those people are really the ones who get the power out of all that. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, when it came down to women, manipulating reality, the patriarchal order came into play and burnt the witches at the stake and then demonized them to some extent, telling them they can't talk, they have to sit in the back of the church, obey their man. You know what I'm saying? Supposed if a woman has hopes, dreams, and aspirations and desires, it has nothing to do with them even wanting a family or anything like that. They may say they want to sleep with a couple dudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they call them a hoe, if they do that. So what? You know what I'm saying? They got masculinity in them, and that's what they want to do. You know what? The difference between us is that one's a man, one's a woman. Mm-hmm. One's electric, one's magnetic. But you know what we have in common? We're both people. We're both persons. We have personalities. Some of them inclined to have more masculine energy. Why would we suppress that? You get what I'm saying?
That's because that's what society tells you.
Because look what Christianity tells you to do. Suppress if you're gay.
Yeah.
They say you're not born gay. That gay is an action. And that's the biggest bullshit I've ever heard on the planet.
That's bullshit.
Because here's the thing though. Suppose if you're gay, but you never touched an individual of the same sex, they say that you're not gay. But if you see it, it turns you on though. Mm-hmm. Which means you're gay. You're turned on. The gay is that you're turned on by the same sex.
By the act and the same sex.
But supposing now you want to be a religious zealot and you're gay and you try to go sleep with a woman, but your dick don't get hard.
You're suppressing who you are, though.
Exactly.
You're suppressing who you are.
What a horrible. I call that hell on earth because the same way.
That's a good one. Hell on earth.
Yeah, it's hell on earth.
You're not being yourself, bro.
All in the interest to cater to something outside of you that's rooted out of a lie.
Out of a lie.
When the truth is that you're gay.
Preach it, brother.
You get what I'm trying to say? Like all that shit is crazy.
For sure.
So but the religion tells you being gay is evil. What it is evil, but not evil bad. Evil inverted. You see how you got the word live? And the word evil is spelled live backwards. That's how you get the word live. Live and evil. Devil and lived.
But that just depends on the life that you live, right?
You guess what? The word Satan means adversary. Yeah, if you lived inverted, you really were evil. So the word Satan means adversary. The fact that these people are so adversarial toward those things, even though they oppose Satan, just the mere fact that they oppose Satan means they're Satanists. Look at the paradox. You need to listen to that again, bro. Real shit.
No, that's.
So these people, right, suppress who they are based on a scripture or a doctrine that a certain group of people, men, put out there. They tell you this character exists, and you follow that. And that's, you're being a woman, bro. You're like not a woman, more of a feminine energy guided by the masculine energy blindly, right? But like an automaton, like a zombie, like a robot taking order.
NPC.
You see why women shouldn't follow that to the T? Like, oh, do what the man says and that's it. Or you know, worship your husband like you worship the Lord. That's what the scriptures tell you. You're an automaton. And look, in China, they've made these fucking realistic robots, bro, that really look like real people. Some men are even marrying those robots, and after the age of 30. I'm gonna send you that short. That's just great. We're gonna review that in this channel. That's a fucking thing. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna make an episode on that. That's a real thing, bro.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, bro. So
a robot,
but it looks like a woman. It's realistic.
All right, so what?
Yeah, but damn, bro, that's what I'm trying to tell you. But they want women to be like that. So in other words,
so it's kind of got.
In fact, you know what's crazy? I'm starting to have a little bit of doubt about these people. These red pill community people, I think they're really covert gays. They demonize women so much that I think they're really gay.
They gotta be suppressing something.
They gotta be suppressing something.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear a lot of them, bro, and they're just really like the way they just bash women in general or something like that is really like saying like I'm really gay, but I just don't want to tell you.
Yeah. Well, they got something in them. The women trigger them. You know what I'm saying?
See, but that goes down to the source of just how they were grown, how they were raised, what experiences they had with the women, and all.
Listen, man, that triggering
is just projection.
That triggering is a projection. It's a manifestation of them not being in tune with their feminine energy. It's literally all it is, and I can debate anybody on that.
You know what I think the problem is with that though too is like because we live in a society right now that if people did indulge in their feminine side of them, they're automatically gay or not straight, or they're labeled as something that's not man.
That conversation with you that I said there was people that played handball with back in the day.
Yeah,
these motherfuckers did not look gay.
Yeah, and then I found out they were gay later. I'm like, yo, you gay? Yeah, you gay? And they're like, nah, man. Yeah, I'm gay. Yo, don't talk about it. Like, you gay? Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, God damn, bro, I would never guess they were gay. Now, you see what I'm saying? But they don't look gay. Yeah. It's just like certain men, some of them, you could see a little bit more of a femininity to them. And they're straight. You get what I'm saying? It's just like women. Some women just have a little more masculinity to them, but it doesn't mean they're gay. Yeah. Right? And some women are just so feminine that they just very ditzy and shit.
I'm not even gonna lie.
Kind of like airheads, like bimbos and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I was raised in a house full of women, bro. So like, you know what I'm saying? But I still had my dad, who was the masculine side of them, teach me those things on top of that too.
Right. But, I had my dad all the way up until I was a man, bro. And my dad passed away, but I'll tell you right now, my dad was, man. I'll tell you right now that I think that's why I look at parents as your God. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter if it's, supposing you came on this planet and you only had your mom. I swear you're going to see a little more masculinity in that woman. You're going to, because
she has no choice.
It naturally just, it's almost like an evolutionary thing.
It's like it's going to naturally come out.
Come out of you, bro.
Exactly.
Almost like it's like the same way your body goes into fight or flight or survival mode in certain instances in life, and you can see a person actually be in survival mode. Now, they're not purposely doing it, it just happens. Life made them that way, and some people become rough around the edges because life made them that way. So depending on how they grew up and whatnot, you may see this masculinity, but this masculinity has to be guided, and now it does become toxic. To the point where women try to bash men, or men try to bash women. That's toxic. That's the toxic opposition. It's not this, because some people will say it doesn't exist. It does exist. The toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it exists.
But that's the type of toxic women that they be having on these red pill communities. Like
they have stupid.
They be having like some real bimbo ass.
If you put a woman in masculine energy that knows how to argue and debate, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now she'll give you a fight.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much. You know what I'm saying? So it's not to say, and then you got some men who can't even fucking argue or debate, which means they're more feminine. But they've got a lot of intuitive. Well, their intuitive nature is high. They're more spiritual.
That's just from hiding that and just not being like fully indulged.
A balanced person should be able to have feminine and should be able to have masculine traits, right? And they'll manifest in a form where they can nurture, but they can also fight, guide, and debate, or like whatever masculinity is required of them. You know what I'm saying? And you'll manifest that in another person. The person you get with will have those attributes, but you may discover that through relationships, and then that's where relationships start drifting apart. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
So you see how sometimes you'll hear some people outgrow their partner, or you'll drift apart. Okay. Sometimes the person you were with, if you were with them, you may have done a lot of self-discovery about yourself, and you changed as an individual to the point that you outgrew the other person. The other person is no longer even in tune with you anymore. You start creating a lot of friction. You know what I'm saying? You may have been a little bit more feminine, and this chick was a little more masculine, but then you started to discover yourself, and then now your masculinity started to grow a little bit, and now there's friction. But now she's trying to challenge you. Or it may be where she's too feminine.
And it's like two fucking rams.
And then you got real feminine or some shit. And now it's catty energy. And it's like two cats going against each other, bro. Why do you think you got, when you got gays, like two women, you got catty energy. Or you got two women, their relationships don't work because you got cat energy. Right? Or two gay niggas, you're going to have one that's more like the woman, right?
Yeah.
Even though they look real masculine, both of them, they can even be where one's still going to be a submissive one.
Yeah.
One's got to be the bottom.
Yeah.
But, hey, look, right now, I want to keep it at an hour so we don't go too long. We're at an hour and 3 minutes right now. And this way we can make more episodes. We'll go into more topics. Do you want to say anything or any questions you have?
Well, no, I'm just listening, man, because it's more like a learning process for me, bro. Everything that you said, I ask the questions when they arise. You know, as far as like right now, I feel like it was a great episode. It was a lot.
Yeah, we smashed it, bro.
Yeah, it was a lot of knowledge here. You know what I'm saying? And that's another beautiful thing about it. You know, we get to go back and kind of take notes. And I can bring up some other stuff, and we can definitely discuss.
Well, now, we're gonna listen, and we're gonna listen. And you guys can control the topics we talk about. There's topics you want us to talk about for sure. I mean, we can definitely get into that too. And that's our conversations, man. They're gonna a lot of questions are gonna arise.
Right? Well, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm gonna be that one asking the questions. You know what I'm saying?
Because I can ask questions too.
Because there's a lot of stuff that as far as like just how I was raised to what I know now, what I discovered now, just from doing that shadow work that you talked about, and we'll talk. We'll make an episode on what shadow work is. Too. Yeah, and just so that you can understand what it is, right? And truly understand. Because here in life, you gotta be the scientist, you gotta be the observer, and you gotta be the priest at the same time. Those are the three things you gotta be here. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's
aside from other things I've called the Holy Trinity, that's also the Holy Trinity.
And you're gonna see me ask him a lot about like elaborate on that because everything is perspective, right? So two different like a different perspective of what you may be talking about.
But the elaboration will be important too because that's gonna get into semantics. A lot of times we won't talk past each other.
No,
and in
definitely.
debates, you know what? Sometimes, even just debating God, I would like to hear what your perspective of God is before I even get into a debate with you.
No,
you may have a perspective about God that I got a different, and we're going to be talking past each other. So absolutely, the questions are going to be necessary because, semantics are very important, very very important. So a lot of people just say words. They just say words every day. You ask them the most simplest question people use every day, like what is love, and you see them just stump. You know what I'm saying? You see them look up and just start thinking about it. I'm like, God damn it, bro, don't you use that word every day? You don't know what the hell you. Why do you see you saying words? It's like you're in a hypnotic rhythm, bro. Like, why do you use certain words? Why do you act the way you do? Why do you say the things you say at certain times or certain scenarios? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like a programming. We can pinpoint those things, right?
No, definitely.
But this is the Beyond Raw podcast, and I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna get to the nooks and cranny of everything. Like, share, subscribe. That's going to be a very, very important thing here for this channel to grow.
Absolutely.
We're making content. Again, we're not doctors. We're not backed up by medical science or medical claims. Do your own research. I say that for the protection of this video. Mm-hmm. And, we're just content creators.
Absolutely, bro.
We'll talk soon.